Can a Cadillac V be electric? Well, the obvious answer to that question is yes, because this exists, the new Cadillac Lyriq V. But what I'm more interested to find out is what is the V Series experience like when it's applied to an electric vehicle? The Lyriq V is the first time there has ever been a Cadillac V electric vehicle. Now, as a reminder, V isn't what it used to be when we had, for example, the CTS V. Instead, it's the mid-tier sporty one. So, for example, on the CT5, you have the regular CT5, the CT5V, and then the CT5V Blackwing. Blackwing is that top-tier, most powerful, track-capable performance trim. V is the mid-tier sporty one, and that's what the Lyriq V represents. In terms of power and acceleration, the Lyriq V is pretty good. We have 615 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque from a dual-motor all-wheel drive system, 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, which makes this the quickest Cadillac ever. Quarter mile in under 12 seconds, top speed of over 130 miles an hour, but straight line speed, acceleration, and power is definitely easier when you have an electric vehicle. What I am interested to find out is, how does the Lyriq V drive? What is it like? Is it sporty? And today we are out in Seattle to find out. Let's do launch control in the Lyriq V. So we press the V mode button here, pulls up all your various drive settings. All you do is floor the brake, tells you right there, floor it, you floor the accelerator, and then release brake to launch. Super easy. That said 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. Not bad. That beats what Cadillac says it will do. They say 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. I just did a 3.0. Obviously, the built-in computer testing times might be a little bit optimistic, but that's still pretty quick, and the coolest thing is it's just repeatable. I've done that like 5 times already. Best time there is 2.9 though. Drake beat me. I'm gonna go again. I wanna beat Drake. Still in V mode, floor to brake, floor to accelerator, and just let go. All right, that was a 3.2. Maybe I'm not destined to beat Drake. That is plenty quick, drama-free, we just go. I'm gonna say Drake is faster than me, 0 to 60, because he weighs less than me, so the power to weight ratio is just a little bit better when he's driving the Lyriq V. We are about to do some autocross, so let's try out competitive mode. We'll go into V, turn on competitive mode. So StabiliTrak is now in competitive mode, and here are all the various different settings we can vary. Everything is in pretty much the sportiest version. So steering, our suspension, brake feel, acceleration feel, motor sound, and competitive mode. Competitive mode here is for more dynamic situations like your autocrossing, or maybe you want to have some fun on a curvy back road. It lowers the threshold for stability control, trying to give you a little bit more slip, optimizing traction control, and your overall drive dynamics to be competitive. So let's see what the Lyriq V feels like when we hit some turns on this little autocross track that we have set up. Now, this is an all-wheel drive system, so dual motors. They can play around a little bit with where torque is going. It's got this brake-based torque vectoring system too, using the actual friction brakes. So I'm excited to see, how does the Lyriq V feel with some fun dynamic driving. We'll start with launch control. So foot hard down on the brake, floor it, and let go. So in competition mode, or competitive mode, it's supposed to give you a little bit more slip, try to mitigate understeer by limiting the amount of torque the front axle is getting. Avoid the cones, on the brakes for this hairpin, and then we go back around. Ooh, still quite a bit of understeer. Try not to kill some cones. Can I get this thing to drift? Nope, that's just a lot of understeer still. Some thoughts on what that felt like. So instant torque is definitely nice with an EV. Did Parker just straight up run over 2 cones? I am so happy I captured that on camera. Is that Parker? I'm pretty sure that is. Again, this is a V. This is not a full-out Blackwing. Blackwing is now the most track-capable version, and this is a V series. So think about what the V Sport used to be when you look at a CT4V or CT5V versus the Blackwing versions. There's a differentiation there. So it's supposed to be sporty, but still luxurious all around. With Audi, it'd be like the Audi S models, BMW, their mid-tier M versions, not quite the full-out M3, X5M, X3M competition, and so forth. So this is capable, plenty of torque, accelerates well, steering, suspension, all that stuff feels fine. Oh, he's about to go. He's just gonna demolish. Oh, there we go. You can feel the back end sliding a bit. This one should be easy to do that with. You can get the rear end to step out a bit. Let's see this left-hander. All right, that is indeed fun. I'll go one more time. All right, we're gonna go for a ride with Alex. You were lead vehicle dynamics engineer, and then what's your role now?
I am now a lead development engineer for the program.
For this program, so let's see what the Lyriq V can do.
All right.
Talk me through some of the stuff.
We're gonna start with the launch control. You ready?
Of course, yeah, let's go.
So the key to driving this vehicle fast is, obviously it's an EV,
Yep.
It's a heavy car, so you really need to make sure that you get your corner entries right, because you got a lot of power on tap, and you want to make sure you can use it on exit.
Oh, a little sideways. Oops. All good.
Lost the mic. What continues to impress me on this car is, despite the mass, how good it is on the brakes. It really stops hard.
How much work was there to blend the regen braking and the friction braking?
So a lot of work, but in driving like this, when you're in competitive mode,
Yeah.
we actually pull out regen during ABS braking. So when hard braking events, it's
pure
all
friction.
the friction brakes doing all the work.
Gotcha.
And the reason we do that is so that we can get the best feel out of the brakes when you're in those dynamic driving situations without regen getting in the way.
Yeah, makes sense. We have an absolutely beautiful backdrop here, a bunch of little baby trees over there, but let's take a moment to check out the styling, the exterior design of the Lyriq V. As a V series model, it's rather subtle tweaks to make it look just a bit more sporty. This one here is finished in radiant red tint coat, which is a very, very nice metallic red paint. It's one of the more expensive paint options for the Lyriq V. There is an even more expensive one. There's a factory matte gray finish that's going to be late availability, but I do like this in the metallic red. Now, in terms of visual tweaks to make this a V, they seem to be largely concentrated towards the lower fascia around the vehicle. So this has been redesigned to make it look a bit more sporty, and it's available in carbon fiber. So the lower splitter area here is in that carbon fiber weave, and then we still have the blacked out shield crest grille area, the cool etching pattern up front. It's not a true grille because you don't require airflow up there. We have the vertical DRL lights here, which is a Cadillac design signature. They're doing a very good job from a front fascia styling standpoint, right? You see a modern Cadillac driving towards you, it's unmistakably a Cadillac, especially the EVs. They really tie in quite nicely, from the Lyriq to the Optic to the Celestiq to the Escalade IQ. Those vertical DRLs definitely stand out. Now we have 22-inch wheels for the Lyriq V. They're unique to the V version. This is the dark gray finish, almost black. We have a little V series logo there, one of the spokes, and then you have the big red brake caliper there with another V logo. Charging port is here on the driver's side. So this one is still a CCS charger right here. You can run a Tesla-style NACS adapter to charge at a Tesla supercharger. That's not natively to NACS, but for example, the Optic V, the baby sibling to the Lyriq V, is a Tesla NACS charging port as standard. Now up front, we do not have a front trunk. This platform does not give us an e-trunk, but there is a little cover. All it is hiding whatever is underneath there, right? So, little Cadillac logo, some fake carbon weave trim there. You can pop this cover up probably. And you see, yep, there's some orange high voltage cabling stuff underneath there. So no front trunk on the Lyriq platform. But coming along the side, you have some more optional carbon fiber there. There's a V-Series logo on the rear door. We have the rear hinge door handles, the black roof, so two-tone finish, and then the rear lighting signature, which is pretty cool. Rather subtle little lip right here. You can press the Cadillac crest to open the trunk. And then a little bit more optional carbon fiber on the rear valence. Not that aggressive of a diffuser. So if you take a look at the new Cadillac Optic V, which is the baby sibling to the Lyriq V, has a much more aggressive looking aerodynamics package with a big carbon diffuser, which I like a lot on the Optic V. For the Lyriq V, you have a V logo right here. It's not like wider, way more aggressive. It is that mid-tier sporty treatment, but it still looks pretty good. Subtle little V touches, 22-inch wheels. It looks quite nice in this red paint, the black and red two-tone finish. You get some little carbon accents too. So that's a quick look at the styling changes on the Lyriq V. You'll notice we have a V logo here on the door sill, on the floor mat, and then actually in the middle of the steering wheel, they moved the Cadillac logo down here. The big curved screen, which is across lots of new Cadillac vehicles. Because this is an EV, we have a lot of storage here in the middle, no transmission tunnel or anything over there. Have like a little outcropping for your cup holders, a rotary dial, some controls. There's a wireless phone charger there. Seats are nicely sculpted. Little blue accent here down in the middle. They are basic massage seats. They are heated and cooled. Controls are here on the door, wood trim. But you notice on the interior, it's not like it's dripping in carbon fiber. It actually looks largely very similar to the regular Lyriq interior, which is not a bad thing. They've done a really good job with this new generation of Cadillac EV interiors. You have the AKG metal speaker grills there. Let's check out the second row. I've got my backpack here. The big glass roof does have a shade that will retract. Unlike the Escalade IQ, you can actually make that completely hidden with a retractable sunshade. There's a quick look at the inside of the Lyriq V. A little bit of blue piping back here too. All right, let's go for a drive now. We are starting off in tour mode. So the changes in drive modes are going to be more pronounced than the regular base Lyriq. Things that have changed. The steering ratio is quicker, and there's supposed to be a difference in weight, and you can absolutely feel it when you go between Tour and Sport. Dampers are also a difference. So the Lyriq V has CDC, continuous damping control, and it's very interesting that they did not opt for magnetic ride, because a lot of GM vehicles, performance and regular, come with magnetic ride dampers. And why are magnetic ride dampers cool? Because they can respond really, really quickly. But I asked one of the engineers, why CDC? And the explanation they gave was CDC has a wider range in terms of the damping force you can enable and have a bigger personality change between Tour and Sport. I have a feeling weight also might be a factor here, but that is the suspension system in the Cadillac Lyriq V. It is a slightly lowered to try to give you a bit more of that sporty dynamic, and intrinsically being an electric platform, you do have a slightly lower center of gravity. Now, the damping force when you're going over bumps, undulations on the road, I'd say it's pretty good. It controls the motion well. You do definitely feel like it's a bit more firm, because the regular Lyriq is definitely very floaty and comfortable. Now in sport mode, I feel like the steering is artificially too heavy, and that's what's cool about my mode and V mode. So I can just press the V mode button there on the steering wheel and I can change things. I can go into Tour for the steering while leaving everything else in a much more sporty version. We were trying out competitive mode when we were on the Autocross course. I can turn that on here for some dynamic stuff once we hit the curvy roads. But I just like that you can customize everything. V mode versus my mode, they're both ones that you can change, but V mode is the only one here where you can turn on competitive mode, and also V mode is where you get maximum power output. That's how you do 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds or quicker. So you get maximum 615 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. All of the maximum capabilities is in V mode. Now, some other things on what the Lyriq V is like to drive. other than the dampers we were just talking about, the suspension overall across the board has been stiffened. From bushings to pretty much every component has some amount of increase in stiffness to make it a bit more precise and handle better. Now, there is a little bit of trade-off. Not only the ride, it is noisier. So at first I thought it was going to be the tires because we're on summer performance tires, but I was talking to lead engineer and he said the bushings, because you have stiffer, like rubber absorbs sound and things like that, right? So that is going to be a noticeable increase in road noise, and you definitely can hear it, but that's a trade-off that people are typically okay when they're going to a sportier vehicle. Something else you're going to immediately notice when you're in the Lyriq V is all the responses are much quicker and sportier. Usually when you go from a gas platform to an electric vehicle, everything does get sportier just because of the intrinsic nature of electric motors, instant torque. They're quicker, they're sportier feeling, but not GM EVs. That's something I've noticed across the entire lineup, whether it's a Cadillac, a Chevrolet. They don't seem to be tuned for that really quick response you associate with electric vehicles. Not with the V series here. It definitely has been given that typical sporty response that you would expect, right? You get on the accelerator and you get pushed back into your seat. There are a lot of different things they did to enable that, right? So the current discharge rate is higher for the battery pack, also more power. When you're in V mode, competitive mode, you get higher commanded torque for that instantaneous response. Durability was also considered cooling, so improved cooling set up for especially when you're in V mode, competitive mode. They increased the final drive ratio and also the diameter of the rear half shafts to handle a bit more of that power output, because from a platform standpoint, this is both a dual motor all-wheel drive system. There is an all-wheel drive version of the regular Lyriq. It makes around 500 horsepower, but it's not like quick or sporty. The numbers sound impressive, but it's not quick. It still felt really lazy. The rear-wheel drive one definitely is a very gradual EV experience. So for this one, it's got the same battery pack, so I didn't up that, but they've just tuned up things to be a bit sportier. And that's typically the V series formula these days, right? It's not, again, not the Blackwing. I don't know if we'll ever get an electric Blackwing. I don't want to say never, but that's where you'd probably get ridiculous over-the-top EV performance. This is still kind of there in the middle. Range does take a slight penalty because it's still a 102 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that added power output drops it from 307 to 285. That's actually not an enormous penalty. I mean, a 10% variance in the real world could just happen from your driving habits, your weather conditions, and so many other things. So it's still close enough to 300. It's not like the regular Lyriq was some insane range monster in the first place, but a lot of vehicles in this space and segment are right around that 300 mark, and that seems to be the sweet spot for most people, that they're comfortable, and this can still charge very quickly. Ultium platform vehicles are plenty quick charging. Like I mentioned, CCS charging, but you can run a NACS adapter to go to Tesla supercharging stations. Other fun little things, we have the regen paddle on demand here, so with the gentle pull of the paddle, you can slow slightly. If you pull a lot harder, you get more aggressive of braking. You can use one pedal driving, but personally, I'm not a huge fan of one pedal, but that option is available. Speaking of slowing down, this Lyriq V has something called ferritic nitrocarburizing brake coating. It's some treatment for the brakes that it can eliminate or lower, not completely eliminate, sorry, lower the amount of brake dust and noise. And it's also got, they said, non-asbestos organic brake pads, which I didn't realize that you could have GMO brake pads. But anyways, it's essentially to try to lower the noise and dust. They will have a slight hit to performance, so you can get non-FNC coated rotors that are going to be a bit more capable in terms of a braking standpoint. All right, I've got my friend Drake in the car with me. We've been drive partners for today's media program. We both spent time in the Lyriq V now, and we are heading back towards Seattle as we wrap up. We've got a lunch stop, and then we're both flying home.
Yep.
So let's do some concluding thoughts on the Lyriq V. How about that?
Sounds great.
What do you think of this thing?
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm honestly impressed by how it drives, because my take on the rest of the vehicles on this platform, Honda Prologue, Blazer, ZDX, none of them are super athletic. And even the larger vehicles on Ultium's platform or the Optic, they're all kind of comfort first, I would say. So Cadillac definitely had its work cut out for it to make this a dynamic vehicle, and I think they mostly delivered. It's not crazy hardcore Blackwing, but I think it does deliver that mid-tier V, what V has become in the past 5-10 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of delivered that.
I'm worried that people still may not have been educated enough, and I've tried to do my part about V versus Blackwing, because like when we were growing up, like CTSV, ATSV, like we knew CTSV as like the ridiculous supercharged V8 beast, and then when you see V on this, some purists might be like, what's going on? Like this is not what the Vs were like when I grew up. Let's talk about the pricing, because the Lyriq V is going to start at just under $80,000. What did you?
Yeah.
Yesterday you were like, what does it start at 80 grand? I was like, no, 79,990.
Yeah, they start at about 80, but they can go to $100,000.
When you said that,
option,
I was like, no way. And I pulled up the configurator, and yeah, but you have to go wild checking boxes. You have to get the matte exterior paint, which is like $3,500 to $4,000. You have to get the exterior carbon, which is again like $5,000-$6,000.
and it's not that much carbon fiber.
No, it's not.
Like
it's
the
actually...
Optic V has a lot more carbon fiber on the outside.
Yeah, and you bring up the Optic V, which we were playing around with the stationary one yesterday. I think they did more V-ifying from a visual standpoint. Obviously, I haven't driven it.
Absolutely.
Like the diffuser on that thing is full carbon, much more aggressive looking. The interior accents and stuff
so
like that.
much blue on the interior.
Yeah, the Santorini blue. This one on the inside, other than the V on the steering wheel, like
there's piping in the middle of the seats.
It's very subtle.
Piping. Yeah,
very
and then
subtle.
Little V flags on the side of the seats.
It still feels rather regular Lyriq. The Optic, I'm actually quite excited to try out the Optic V. Smaller platform, plenty power and torque, but the pricing of this one, 80 grand, you option it. I mean, I was going wild in the configurator, got it to like 95. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, and when you think about the competition, like Polestar 3 right now, the Polestar 3 with performance, they're doing a special, maybe because this vehicle is coming out, but 70 grand is what those start at. Those are a little less horsepower. It's like 509 horsepower, but 670 pound-feet of torque.
What's the range on the Polestar 3? Ballpark.
Those are, I think, 280.
So, I mean, this is 285, down from 307 on the regular one.
You're going to have to look that up when you're editing this. I'm not 100%.
Something in that range.
Yeah.
I bring up the Ioniq 5N. It's not a luxury vehicle, but it has so much of the EV fun sportiness. And I don't think Cadillac was necessarily benchmarking them for that, but those are 70 grand.
Yeah.
Like, you can get a pretty good one for maybe $68,000.
Yeah.
So this is definitely...
I think this is the most luxurious one out there.
True.
In terms of performance, crossovers, electric crossovers.
Yeah.
Like, this is nicer, in my opinion, than the Audi SQ6 e-tron.
Okay.
I think it's prettier. I think the interior is higher quality. Same with the Polestar 3 in terms of luxury. This is a step up. So they can kind of charge a premium in that aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, driving dynamics, Ioniq 5N, I think, does have this.
Ioniq 5N is just... It puts a massive grin on your face when you're driving it, right? This thing was quick and fun. We enjoyed it, but definitely still luxury. And I think that's what V is, the blend of both. You get both sides of the coin. It's not meant to be really extreme in either direction.
Yeah. But I am, again, impressed that they were able to bring in noticeable driving dynamic improvements over the standard.
Yeah.
Lyriq, which is definitely a comfort-oriented vehicle.
It almost feels lazy. It's nice. It's so quiet. Like, I've road tripped Lyriqs. We went to Toronto and back. Like, went to Chicago and back. Like, long drives. And it's super comfy. It's quiet. Like, it's quite nice. What's another Lyriq V? Where are we going?
I think we're going to take
that little loop around. Yeah. On these drive programs, they're just like Lyriq Vs, like scattered all over the countryside. So you just randomly run across people on the road right now. Yeah, I'd say overall positive, definitely my favorite version of the Lyriq, right? It's kind of a given at this point. What else? They're going to be building these in Tennessee. So made in America?
Yep. No, tariff-less.
Hopefully.
Or minimal tariffs at the very least.
Yeah.
And this has been a really successful vehicle for them. It was their second best-selling car in their lineup in 2024.
It's already sold 60,000.
Yeah.
And they're getting a lot of conquest.
Yep. 71% of buyers.
Yeah. They're also getting...
I'm sure that's a lot of Tesla people.
Yeah. Younger, more affluent buyers are going to be buying V series vehicles. They're typically males. We learned a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's always fascinating to hear where these buyers are coming from.
Yes.
And yeah, I totally understand that. Like, personally, I would get a V if I was getting a Cadillac, probably. Or a Blackwing if it was a CT5 or CT4.
I always love when marketing comes and gives us like those kind of pieces of information. When we were learning about the Corvette, they're like, average household income for Z06 buyers is like $300 and something thousand. I'm like, oh, so I'm the poorest Z06 owner in the country. Cool. Yeah, but back to the Lyriq V. Concluding thoughts. It is great improvements all around. I think there is a larger differentiation in terms of the personality when you're in the tour mode versus V mode, sport mode, competitive mode. They actually put some effort into it. It's not just slap a badge on it, give it a bit more power and slightly bigger wheels. Like, there are driving dynamic changes that you can absolutely feel. It's been fun on some of these back roads here in Seattle, curving around through the mountains. And you've got pretty much all the luxury tech features I personally would want. I know you would throw a hissy fit about no CarPlay.
Yeah, there's no CarPlay on 26 model year Lyriqs.
RIP. Drake is very sad about that.
I honestly wouldn't get this car as a result.
Because of CarPlay?
Yeah, I would. And I also really like the Polestar 3. Like, because there is a car in this segment that I do really like that does have CarPlay, that kind of could be a deciding factor, yeah.
I've spent weeks with cars and I didn't even bother hooking up the CarPlay because I
use Apple Music.
Okay, so, that's true. That's why.
That's a big thing.
I'm Spotify, Google Maps, so I'm already natively, I'm all good, right? Yeah. So that is absolutely something to consider if you are worried about that, but...
There's a Prologue.
Oh,
it has Apple CarPlay.
If you're looking for a sportier Lyriq on the GM EV platform, this should deserve some consideration.
Absolutely.
Hope you guys enjoyed this drive-in review of the Lyriq V plus cameo from Drake Moscow. Go check him out on all the social medias.
Please.
He does the TikTok and YouTube.
A lot of short form
and all the other ones. Thanks for watching.